Last night, of course, saw a memorial service for Sir David Amess, following moving tributes in the House of Commons and indeed the House of Lords. Opposite the church where the memorial was held was a candlelit vigil, put on by the National Council of Resistance of Iran. Sir David, in fact, chaired the British Committee on Iran Freedom. Here he is addressing their National Council just a few months ago.
Today, I'm delighted to announce that so far over 100 of my colleagues have signed a very strong statement on Iran, and here it is in the Red Book from the House of Lords and the Green Book from the House of Commons. This statement rejects the brutal religious dictatorship in Iran and supports the Iranian resistance and Madam Rajavi.
Well, I'm delighted to be joined now by Hussein Abedini, the Deputy Director of the National Council of Resistance of Iran. Hussein, thank you so much for your time here this morning. Just first of all, could you tell us about your campaign and why it was so important to Sir David?
Thank you and good morning to you. Well, Sir David Amess was first of all, we are profoundly saddened, and because David Amess, was a motivating force of kindness, sincerity, tolerance, and passionate for his constituency, as well as for a free and democratic Iran. So his loss, was very saddening for us. He was, as you just mentioned, he was the co-chairman of the British Committee for Iran Freedom, which includes some 100 parliamentarians from both houses and across the parliament. And I knew him personally myself, for more than 3 decades. And we did a lot of campaigns together. He was really the true voice of a free Iran. He always, was leading big delegations of parliamentarians in different gatherings of the NCRI, and he worked very hard, to bring the perpetrators of crime against humanity in Iran to justice. So Sir David was, his loss, was so great. And I think our resistance movement has lost a great friend, but the British people have also lost a very genuine and a very, I think, great human being. So he worked very hard on all 4 threats that Iran, the Iranian regime, is at the moment is characterizing. First was the appalling human rights situation in Iran. Sir David Amess, one of the last campaigns that we worked together, and I pursued with Sir David, and he kindly was supporting this, was to condemn the 30,000 executions which happened in a brutal and one of the most heinous crimes against humanity in 1988. And according to many prominent lawyers, this is one of the most horrendous crimes against humanity after the Second World War. So Sir David, in his different articles, in different parliamentary motions, and a lot of other campaigns, he was pursuing this, and this was one of his dreams, that these leaders of this Iranian brutal religious dictatorship are brought to justice, and they account, for the crimes that they have committed. So that was the first appalling human rights situation. Secondly, it was the terrorism of the Iranian regime. I myself am a victim of a terrorist assassination attempt, and I narrowly escaped death. A bullet hit my chest, another bullet destroyed my liver, and we always, talked about this. But he was really a true champion of human rights and advocating freedom and human rights and democracy.
It is remarkable. So much of what we've spoken about Sir David in the last few days has been what he's done for his town of Southend, very, very locally, and what he's done for animal rights within the UK. But there's this whole other facet to his personality, looking around human rights and democracy in the wider world as well.
Exactly. He was always, very, very active, very energetic, always happy, and always kind. Whenever you met him, his kindness just touched everyone. And he was really a great man who did a lot, for our movement. He met with Mrs. Maryam Rajavi, the president-elect of the Iranian resistance, a number of times. And yesterday, actually, in Ashraf 3 in Albania, some 3,000 Iranians, members and supporters of the PMI, the main Iranian opposition movement, they had a magnificent ceremony, in the memory of Sir David Amess. So I'm sure that he will be always remembered for the Iranian people and the history of Iran. We consider Sir David Amess, as actually another martyr for the cause of freedom and democracy and human rights. And I use this opportunity to also send my really thoughts, our prayers to his dear family, his wife, Julia, his children. He always, loved his family. He was such a caring, really a great man, a great champion of freedom and democracy. So he also worked, also to bring in the free and democratic Iran. Just a day before this horrendous murder of Sir David, he wrote an article asking for the current president of the Iranian regime, who is a mass murderer, Ebrahim Raisi. He was one of the leading people in a death commission which sent 30,000 innocent prisoners, the overwhelming majority of them were members and supporters of the PMOI, to the gallows. And Sir David asked, for him to be brought before justice and punished for what he has done.
Well, Hussein Abedini, thank you so much for bringing us that news and that other side to Sir David's story as well this morning. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much for
here
having
on
me.
GB News.
Thank you.